Hi, today I want to continue a discussion that I started in my previous video. If you haven't watched that video, I encourage you to go and find it. It's entitled The Bleeding Hearts of America. In that video, I shared a number of things, but at the end of the video, the number one thing I wanted to communicate to everyone is, and for those of you who have watched it, you understand this, you remember this, is that you cannot lift people out of poverty by giving them handouts. The only way you can lift people out of poverty is by giving them a hand up. And this is a very important principle to understand if you are trying to help people who are less privileged to rise out of their poverty, to become self-sufficient, independent financially, economically, and otherwise. And for many people who are serving in underdeveloped communities, this is a very hard thing for them to do because they go in with a very compassionate heart. They are very generous by nature, many of them, and so they just want to give and give and give and give in the hopes that the more they give, the more people will actually be helped to get out of poverty. But it doesn't really work that way. I'll give you an example. I worked in 2016 in a village in Africa where I felt led by the Lord to go and serve this community, to help them get out of poverty, to help them understand that they have the capability, they are able to rise above their poverty level and live better lives. And so one of the things we decided to do at the very beginning in that community was to establish a no handout policy for the organization. And so that meant that every volunteer and every staff member at the entry point, if they wanted to work with the organization, they had to make this commitment that they would not give any handouts. That was a policy that they were required to abide by. And so the work began, and we were enforcing this no handout policy all across the board, whether it's for adults, children, men, women, regardless of who they were. We wanted them to understand that we were not there to give handouts, but rather to give them a hand up. And so we began to do our work, and we got some pushback from the community. And this was expected for us because we know that many people, they're so used to receiving, especially if they find themselves in underprivileged situations. And there was a lot of pushback. One of the reasons there was so much pushback is because there were other organizations working in the surrounding communities who were readily giving handouts left and right. And so people would come to us and say, hey, why your friends are giving out handouts? Why are you not doing that for us? You are mean, you don't like us, you don't love us, you don't want to help us. And yet we stood our ground because we knew that the only way to lift this community out of poverty was to give them a hand up, not by giving them handouts. And so day by day, week by week, month by month, we dealt with this, people pushing back. But we said, no, we will not do this. I'll give you personal examples. A child would come, for example, hey, I need a pencil, or I need a pen or a notebook for school. Could you please give me something? And we'll say, no problem. We'll give you some work. You do a little bit of work, and then you get your notebook, or we'll give you money to go and buy your notebook, whatever it is you need. A mother would come and say, hey, I need food, please give me some food. And we say, well, do a little bit of work here, and we'll give you food, or we'll give you money to go and buy food. Somebody would come and say, hey, I need a pair of shoes. I don't have shoes. And we say, no problem, we've got shoes, but we're gonna give you some work. Do some work, and then you can get your shoes, or we'll give you money equivalent to a pair of shoes, and you can go and buy whatever kind of shoe you want. By and by, over a long period of time, about a year, people began to understand, and so their mindset began to change. And now, instead of them coming to us to beg for things, do you know what they would do? They would come and say, hey, I'm really in a bad situation. I need help. I need food. There's no food for my family. Do you have any work for me to do? And I celebrated so much because I could say finally the message has gotten across. The mindset had changed from them being beggars to those who want to be earners, to earn what they have, what they get. And so for any one of you watching this video, if you are involved in any kind of development work, anywhere, whether it's overseas, in North America, in Africa, Asia, whatever country, if you're involved in any kind of development work in a community with individuals, please, I beg you, do not, never, ever give handouts, because you are killing those people when you do that. We need to teach people to not be beggars, but to be earners. They need to be transformed from being beggars to earners, to earn their keep, to earn what they have. And when we do that, then they will also gain a sense of dignity for themselves, and worth and value, and whatever it is that they earn will become precious to them and valuable to them more than anything that we could ever give to them. And so I know many of you love to give. God bless you. You are very generous. God wants us all to be generous. But if we're going to help people rise above poverty and become independent, to be able to stand on their 2 feet, we need to take a step back and reevaluate how we are doing the work of helping them. Because sometimes, instead of helping them, we may actually be hurting them, and in the process, hurting ourselves. God bless you. See you next time.